It's 8:15 p.m. on February 19, 1994. 31-year-old Gloria Ramirez is rushed into the emergency room at Riverside General Hospital in California. She's suffering from late-stage cervical cancer, her breathing is shallow and her heart is racing. She is just minutes from death. But no one in that room knows that Gloria is about to become a medical impossibility. She is about to take down the very people trying to save her. Within 15 minutes of her arrival, the ER is in chaos. Nurses are fainting. Doctors are collapsing. A respiratory therapist is paralyzed, unable to control her limbs. In total, 23 different hospital workers would be affected. 5 would be hospitalized. The source of the attack? It wasn't a gas leak. It wasn't a terrorist. It was Gloria Ramirez herself. Her body was emitting toxic fumes. This is the baffling and terrifying true story of Gloria Ramirez, the woman the media would forever call the toxic lady. When Gloria was wheeled in, the staff did exactly what they were trained to do. They gave her sedatives, diazepam and lorazepam. They gave her drugs to control her frantic heartbeat. When her heart began to fail, they grabbed the defibrillator paddles. And that's when things turned from normal to unnatural. The nurses and doctors who were there all described the same first sign, a strange oily sheen that seemed to cover Gloria's entire body. The next thing they noticed was a smell. They described it as fruity or garlic-like, coming from her mouth. A registered nurse named Susan Kane was the first to draw blood. She put the needle in Gloria's arm, drew the blood into a syringe and immediately noticed 2 things. First, the blood itself smelled strange, like ammonia. Second, floating inside the syringe were particles. The staff described them as manila-colored crystals. Think about that. Crystals in her blood. Before anyone could even process what that meant, Susan Kane, the nurse holding the syringe, said she felt lightheaded. She leaned over and fainted. A respiratory therapist, Maureen Welch, was also in the room. She remembers hearing someone scream and then waking up on the floor. She couldn't move her arms or her legs. Dr. Julie Gorchinsky, a medical resident, took over for the nurse who had fainted. She looked at the syringe with the strange blood and then looked at Gloria. Just seconds later, she too felt dizzy. She left the trauma room, walked to the nurse's station and collapsed. She was found twitching on the floor, unable to breathe properly. This was no longer an isolated incident. This was an outbreak. One by one, staff members who had been near Gloria began to fall ill. Their symptoms were horrifying: dizziness, nausea, muscle spasms, uncontrollable tremors and apnea, the medical term for stopping breathing. A hospital administrator, with chaos erupting all around her, ordered an immediate evacuation of the entire emergency department. Patients, doctors, and nurses were moved to the hospital parking lot. Only a skeleton crew, now wearing full hazmat suits, stayed behind to try and save Gloria Ramirez. It was too late. At 8:50 p.m., just 35 minutes after she arrived, Gloria was pronounced dead from kidney failure related to her cancer. But the mystery had just begun. Gloria was gone, but her body had just hospitalized 5 of her caregivers. What in the world was inside of her? The next morning, Riverside County was in a panic. A hazmat team had sealed Gloria's body in a special airtight casket. They swept the entire hospital, testing the air, the vents, everything. They found nothing. No toxic gas. No chemical leak. The hospital's air was clean. So the investigators turned to the victims. 23 people were affected. The 5 who were hospitalized had a bizarre range of symptoms. But the most severely injured was Dr. Julie Gorchinsky. Dr. Gorchinsky was in intensive care for 2 weeks. She developed hepatitis. She developed pancreatitis. And most horrifying of all, she was diagnosed with avascular necrosis, a disease where bone tissue literally dies from a lack of blood. Her knees were so badly damaged that she would need crutches for months. This was not a panic attack. This was a severe, physical chemical poisoning. And yet, the county's first official explanation was exactly that. They concluded the entire event was a case of mass sociogenic illness, more commonly known as mass hysteria. They claimed the staff, stressed from the emergency and panicked by the strange smell, triggered a chain reaction of psychosomatic symptoms. The hospital staff was furious. Dr. Gorchinsky later sued the county. She had debilitating, life-altering injuries. Mass hysteria doesn't rot your bones. The staff knew what they experienced was real. The county's hysteria theory was a dead end. But the autopsy on Gloria's body? Well, that was even stranger. Her body was so toxic that the autopsy had to be delayed for 2 months, and her organs were so decomposed by the time of the examination that a conclusive cause of death was hard to find. The case went cold. It seemed like the mystery of the toxic lady would never be solved. Until a new, brilliant, and absolutely terrifying theory emerged from one of America's top national laboratories. The Riverside Coroner's Office sent their findings to the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, one of the most advanced forensic science centers in the world. They handle nuclear weapons, so a toxic body was right up their alley. After months of analysis, they proposed a theory. It's complex, but it's the only one that fits every single bizarre fact of this case. Here's how they believe a human body turned into a chemical weapon. The home remedy. The lab believed Gloria Ramirez, in severe pain from her cancer, was using a common, at the time, home remedy, dimethyl sulfoxide or DMSO. DMSO is a powerful degreasing solvent. It comes as a gel or cream, and when you rub it on your skin, it's absorbed instantly and provides powerful pain relief. It was a popular, if unapproved, folk remedy for arthritis and muscle pain. And what are the two main side effects of DMSO? It gives you a garlic-like body odor, and it can create an oily sheen on the skin. Sound familiar? The paramedics. The lab theorized that Gloria's body was already saturated with this DMSO cream. Then, in the ambulance, paramedics put an oxygen mask on her. This high-flow oxygen pumping into her body would have chemically combined with the DMSO, creating a new compound, dimethyl sulfone or DMSO2. DMSO2 is a chemical that forms crystals at room temperature. The manila-colored crystals the nurse saw in the blood? The lab believed it was dimethyl sulfone. This is already weird, but it's not toxic. It was the next step that turned this into a disaster. The defibrillator and the syringe. Back in the ER, Gloria's heart failed. The staff shocked her with the defibrillator. This electrical shock, combined with her body's natural processes, could have converted the harmless DMSO2 into something truly monstrous. Dimethyl sulfate or DMS. Host, on camera, serious, direct tone. Dimethyl sulfate is not a medical compound. It is a highly toxic, highly corrosive industrial chemical. It has been used in chemical warfare. It is a poison, and it is a gas. The theory is this: when the nurse, Susan Kane, drew Gloria's blood, the vacuum of the syringe caused this newly formed dimethyl sulfate gas to vaporize. The ammonia smell? That was the gas. When it hit the cool air of the ER, it became an aerosolized toxic fume. Susan Kane, holding the syringe, got the first and most direct dose, causing her to faint. Dr. Gorczynski, standing right over Gloria, inhaled it next. The other 21 victims were hit by the expanding cloud. This theory explains everything: the garlic smell, the oily sheen, the crystals, the ammonia smell from the blood, the sudden, simultaneous collapse of the staff, and the severe, chemical burn-like injuries on Dr. Gorczynski. The DMSO theory is brilliant. It's the most likely explanation we have. But it's not perfect. For one, scientists have pointed out that this chemical conversion has never, ever been documented inside a living human body. It's a perfect storm theory that requires a dozen things to happen in exactly the right sequence. And what about Gloria's family? They vehemently deny she was using DMSO. They claim the hospital was covering something up. The family suggested the hospital was to blame, that they were covering up a sewer gas leak, or that they had improperly handled cleaning chemicals in the ER, creating a toxic cloud that they then blamed on a dying woman. Gloria's body was so badly decomposed after the county held it for 2 months that an independent autopsy was impossible. Her heart was missing. Her other organs were cross-contaminated. The family's questions were never answered. So we are left with a medical mystery that is still, technically, unsolved. Was Gloria Ramirez the victim of a 1 in a billion chemical reaction that turned her own body against her caregivers? Or was she and the 23 poisoned staff the victim of a hospital cover-up? What do you think happened in that ER? Was it the DMSO theory, a hospital cover-up, or something else entirely? Let me know in the comments below. This story is a terrifying reminder that sometimes the most bizarre science fiction horror stories are the ones that are real. Thank you for watching. If you want to go down the rabbit hole on more bizarre cases like this one, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. And hit that notification bell so you never miss a new investigation.